All right, this is the video for your outline for your characterization essay, just starting with introduction and a body paragraph. So it says the boxes below define each sentence of the essay. So that's like this box tells you what goes in the introduction. The three sentences that go in your introduction are the attention getter, general statement, and claim. And then if you keep scrolling down, body paragraph, sentence, what is it, an example, and then you'll write your sentences here, and then conclusion, and you'll write your sentences here. So this will be your whole paper when you're all done. It just has the directions built right into it. So looking at the attention getter for today, or the introduction for today, we're going to start with attention getter. So remember, attention getter shouldn't say like, my character is Anne and she's brave. So we want to avoid saying like the topic of our essay right away. We just want to grab the reader's attention with something kind of related. And then we'll go into the point of our essay once we get to the end of our introduction. So, question for the reader is one kind of attention getter you can do. You can also do a cited statistic or quote from the story. So if you want to do a question for the reader, you could ask, have you ever had to spend lots of time at home with your family? Because kind of we can make a stretch that this is what happens in the play, that Anne is forced to spend lots of time with her family. So that would just be a random question for you, which is the reader. Any question that asks about their experiences that have something to do with the play should work. The next kind of attention getter you can do is a cited statistic. So we could find a fact on like history.com or something like that, or historychannel.com. You want to find a good fact website. So like the History Channel, Biography Channel, any of the websites that we've used for Anne Frank research would work really well. Don't just find like a fact.com website or something like that. So make sure it's like more history focused website rather than a fact website. And you could say something like World War II started in 1940, I think. I'm pretty sure. When blah blah blah. So I don't know. I can't look up the exact detail right now. And then at the end of that sentence, you would say the website. So historychannel.com in parentheses like that. So if you need any help with your statistics, just let me know. Another option would be a quote from the story. So you could go look at the play and find a quote that you like. You could also use a quote, so a piece of evidence from the play that you aren't using in your body paragraphs. So remember, you found a bunch of evidence when you completed the assessments. You found more evidence that you needed. So you only need 3, 1 for each body paragraph. So if you have another piece of evidence that you like, you could always use it here. And then kind of talk about it later. And then, so that's your attention getter. If you need help with ideas, let me know. General statement then is you really want to introduce the play itself. So write a 2-sentence summary of Anne Frank. Try to keep it brief, just like main points. So the Diary of Anne Frank is about some main things that happen would be good sentence frames to use. And then your claim or thesis statement. And this you've actually already written as well. You should be able to find it somewhere, and if not, you can just rewrite it. So in the Diary of Anne Frank is shown to be first word, second word, and third word. And again, for each of these things, you are putting them down here in these little spots. So those are your 3 sentences for your introduction paragraph. Moving now to your first body paragraph that you're going to be working on today. Remember, so this ICES paragraph structure that we talked about way back in October for your horror essay. So you're going to introduce your topic sentence. You're going to have a context sentence, evidence sentence, explanation sentence, and then a summary sentence. So ICES is that acronym. For your topic sentence, this sentence will include your character's name, the characterization word you're focusing on, and the scene you'll be using as evidence. So for example, first, The Grinch is the best Christmas movie because of the lesson it teaches about the meaning of Christmas. So for yours, you're just going to scroll down here, click right there, and say, and I'm going to do first and last name. Anne Frank is brave when, and then I would introduce, in my own words, when she or Anne is kind, when she makes Hanukkah presents for all of the people in the annex. So notice I don't put my evidence here, but I'm kind of talking about the evidence I'm going to use. So your character word, your character's name is characterization word, when, and then fill in that the scene that you're going to talk about in that paragraph. Context then is just kind of like backing up and kind of setting up the scene for the scene that you're going to talk about. So looking at context is important background information that your reader needs to know. For this essay, you'll explain the part of the play that your evidence comes from. So for here, I would say, as Hanukkah approached, no one in the annex was expecting that it would be a normal holiday. So as they were going into that first holiday, they knew that there wasn't going to be like the days of presents and things like that. So just kind of setting up as the first Hanukkah approached, because remember they were in hiding for 2 years. So that sets up my context. Evidence is cited evidence from the text in form of a sentence. It needs a signal phrase that further sets up the context and states which character speaks the evidence. And it ends with an in-text citation that includes Goodrich and Hackett and the page number like this. So after seeing their peaceful reaction to the presents being stolen, he says, maybe Christmas doesn't come from a store, maybe Christmas means a little bit more. So we can see this first part that ends with a he says, and that's referring to the Grinch. This is what I'm going to be looking for in your paragraphs. The quoted evidence that has quotation marks around it, and then the citation that has author's last name and page number, just like here. I don't have my evidence on hand, but you will go find that evidence that you had already picked out, and you will. So let's say my evidence is like when Anne went to go get the gifts. No one in the annex was expecting it would be a normal holiday. After they had eaten their dinner and ran to get the gifts, and she said, so that's that signal phrase. So we're looking for, I want to know who said your evidence and what were they doing. So after they'd eaten dinner, Anne ran to get the gifts, and she said, and then I would have what she said when she walked in there. I can't remember. And then I would end with a in-text citation. So remember that page number. So these will always be the same. So you're looking for the author's last names, Goodrich and Hackett, and then the page number that you'll just change. And then the period goes at the end. That's your evidence sentence. And then for your explanation sentence, you're going to connect your evidence to your reason. So every time you want to make sure that when somebody reads your evidence, they get the point that you want to be made. So looking at this, although it's super basic, just for right now as we're kind of working on initial paragraphs, you can start with, I always want to say like something about this demonstrates or this shows. So this shows that Anne is generous because she worked really hard making all of the gifts for everyone. And then, so if I read this, this shows that Anne is generous because she worked hard. Kind is my word. I'm gonna leave generous because she worked really hard making all the gifts for everyone. Reading this sentence, I actually can just delete this and it still makes sense. So Anne is generous because she worked really hard making all the gifts for everyone. No one was expecting her to work that hard to make the holiday special. And then summary sentence, restate your introduced topic sentence in a slightly different way and transition to your next point. So we always want to remind of author name, person, the characterization word, and then kind of lead into my next word. So no one was expecting her. And what word am I on? Kindness was a pleasant surprise that demonstrates her growing maturity. And so this is this paragraph's point. So kindness. And I want to transition in my next word. So if my next word was like brave or something like that, then demonstrates her growing maturity. And she is also shown to be brave. So if my next paragraph was brave. So in this sentence, you see both this paragraph's focus word, which is kindness, and the next paragraph's focus word, which is brave. All right, so that is directions for body paragraph number 1 and introduction paragraph. And then we'll work on the rest later. So that's all you have to get done today.